this chapter had some huge, major reveals as I expected since it was a milestone chapter, chapter 250. But before we even talk about any of that, we have to talk about the drama that surrounded this chapter. For those who missed it, the Kengan Omega manga is officially published by Comikey. That's basically the website. And we've had a few times before this chapter, of course, where the site goes down when a chapter is out. I don't know what really causes this. My best guess is that it correlates with a huge influx of people who are interested in reading the chapter, but again, that's just a theory. I don't know what's happening on the background. The result, however, is the same. You're unable to read the chapter, basically. And that is exactly what happened on Wednesday when the chapter came out. I was one of the first people to actually read the chapter before the servers went down, luckily enough. And I had no idea. I even took screenshots, because typically I want to at least pick a thumbnail for the chapter review. But later on, people weren't able to read the chapter typically, unless you went to, of course, the Kengan Ashura Reddit, where it was available for some time there. Point is, that caused a lot of drama with people being upset at Comikey itself. Now, I don't know if anything will even change, to be completely honest, but it was a very funny situation. And if my theory about the whole influx of readers is true, then I think a lot of people were hyped for this chapter, and rightfully so, because despite it being chill, it had a lot of major and big reveals in it. The first one, and I'm going to start with some of these smaller, bigger reveals, is the connector confirming what I basically said about Lohan before, that Lohan is more than likely the second closest to him. And this is something I've theorized for a while, because it almost seems obvious considering the talents that the Shen Wulong clones just have innately, and Lohan just being the oldest clone. It would make sense that, of course, Lohan would be essentially quite powerful, but also the fact that Wulong knows about the true nature of Lohan. At least he knows he's not a good guy and he's not loyal to him. This is probably why he won't transfer his memories, of course, to him, which makes sense at this point. But he does say in the event that he does somehow get it, he still won't be able to actually beat Wulong. And hey, I don't know if many people have actually watched Griever, the YouTuber who does reaction videos, who had the whole principles theory going on. And though I thought it was a pretty good theory, I definitely did think that it was like, we need a bit more evidence, even though the evidence for it seemed like it was pretty solid more or less. But I think this chapter more or less confirms that, because he essentially says, okay, here you go, I'll show you, one of the ways to actually beat him. And it all really boils down to this principles type of fighting, I guess. I guess that's one way we could put it, although I'll have to make an entire video breaking this down because it's a bit complicated. The point is, you can seemingly amp your power several times over just by making a few adjustments. Well, not a few, but adjusting the way you actually throw your attacks. Now, this is definitely a fundamental type of situation here and requires a high level of understanding and optimization. And that is something that we have actually seen from Shen Wulong. Note when he fought against Mukaku, and Mukaku noted how Shen Wulong seemingly just hit him 3 times, and he was already just reeling. And this was a suppressed Shen Wulong. And so, now that Oma actually has a direction to go in, it'll be very interesting how far he manages to push the principal's mastery. But this also means that, at least to a certain extent, Shen Wulong might actually just straight up be able to unleash more raw power than Wakatsuki, despite him not actually having superhuman syndrome, which is something we have seen at least a hint of when Mukaku, tried to impale him with a spear. But now I think I'm beginning to notice, hey, Shen Wulong in theory could rival Wakatsuki in strength, or even outscale him. People like Julius. Forget the fact that Shen Wulong might have let's say his own type of martial arts, go toe to toe with people in a contest of power. Now that was big, but another huge reveal in the chapter was that Koga might end up getting lessons from the Connector. Now, this is going to be very interesting because we do know that the Connector has been somewhat interested in Koga ever since Koga beat up Zaiji. Remember, that's the catalyst for all of this. The fact that Koga was able to beat Zaiji is a huge accomplishment, because that proves that he has one of the greatest amounts of talent in the verse. Because Zaiji, despite him being who he is, he was incredibly talented and powerful. And so, I think people should remember that that is the reason why the Connector took interest in him, and that is exactly what led to this moment. And so, the question really is, okay, are we going to have a full-on mini training arc of sorts? Or is it just gonna be a short, quick lesson? Because it seemed like there was the implication where, yes, he said he was gonna train Koga, but just to demonstrate the principles, basically, which he did demonstrate them with Oma. And so, technically, the Connector might be done then and there. But there's also the chance that this training could go on a bit longer. And if he does have the Connector, if Koga actually has the Connector as one of his masters to take him to the next level, that's gonna be very interesting to see just how much growth we'll be able to get, because Koga will more than likely take the lesson, because we've essentially already been through the arc where he was trying to make himself a hothead and getting his ass handed to him. He's not gonna, at least I don't think he's going to regress in character. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But man, those were the three major things that actually happened in this chapter. And what a chapter. Phenomenal. Pretty much has shown us what direction the power system is going to essentially go. And when I say power system, I mean, alright, what does the next tier of fighter look like? The closest people to Shen. And I might have to actually do another video on that, although, oh boy, if you've made it this far into the video, you probably already know how much I've been lacking in uploads. So I'll try to upload a lot of discussion type of content, because there's just a lot of stuff on my mind right now, and I was trying to take a little break just doing the reviews. So I will definitely be releasing more analysis and 3D videos soon. I know I've probably said this for 3 weeks at this point, but this time I'm probably going to be able to do it. And yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video, like, sub, all that fun stuff, and until next time, take it easy.